part one of a culture of risk-taking for teachers and students. In part one, we will look at aspects of what teacher risk-taking is all about. What does it mean to take risk as a teacher? So taking risk involves you, the teacher, stepping outside of your comfort zone. This is where all the magic is going to happen. Risk-taking is also what we ask our students to do. So if we're asking our students to do it, then we need to extend that grace to ourselves as well. And innovative teaching and learning will involve risk. So not only do students and teachers take learning risk, but they also need to take them together. You guys are partners in the learning process. Okay. There also has to be a balance of going with what you know, so what you're familiar with, maybe the TEKS or the overview of lessons itself in Eduphoria, and still having the willingness to try something new. So it's the blending of what you know and trying something new. Teachers need to be challenging not only what doesn't work, but what does. And that's what risk-taking is all about. You need to be transparent with your students and ask for feedback from your students. This is going to be very, very helpful in your risk-taking process. And let them know that you're trying something new and that it may not be perfect the first time. And this is where you as the teacher need to model your thought process with students. So if you are trying something new, you should be showing them at the beginning of class or when you introduce what you're doing, and kind of walk them through how you would go through the process itself. So this involves having a growth mindset. You may not know everything yet, but you will get there. And then it's so important to allow yourself to fail, but then reflect on that failure and try it again. We don't get better by going overboard and trying to do something super amazing all at once. It takes little steps of reflection and trying again. And then you just have to trust the process. So it is going to feel very uncomfortable the first time you step outside of your comfort zone, but as soon as you do, you're going to see all the benefits for your students. So let's look at what it is not. So it is not teacher-centered. That does not mean you are at the helm of what is happening in the classroom. Your students, when you are taking risk, your students are then in turn taking risk as well in their learning. And it is not confined to curriculum. Remember, I said it's kind of a blending of what you have in curriculum and what you're wanting to add to it. And then it's super important to remember it is not going to be perfect the first time. Remember, it is okay to fail, reflect, and try again. So some examples of risk-taking in the classroom for teachers could be giving up control. So placing the learning in students' hands. This is called a transfer of control. We want our students to be independent learners and thinkers. And in order to do that, we do have to give up some of our control. And then room transformations, however big or small. Sometimes just a small decoration for Rock and Review can make the biggest difference in the culture of your classroom. And theme days as well. I know we do this a lot in elementary school, but there's no reason why we can't do it in secondary as well. And then even introducing new strategies to your students, whether it's lead forward, best practices, SEL strategies, blended learning opportunities, and small group instruction. Anything that is new to you as a teacher that you are trying in your classroom to promote student success is taking a risk. And so I love this quote from George Couros from The Innovator's Mindset. If we really are wanting to serve our students and help them to develop to become the leaders and learners of today and the future, that is so important. Taking risk in our practice is not only encouraged, but necessary. We can't encourage our students to take risk if we ourselves as teachers are not willing to do the same. And so when we take risk, our students are inspired to do the same. There is that level of uncertainty, but if you are taking those risks and students are seeing you fail, reflect, and try again, they're going to start to do the same. So I end you guys with this question to think about. What risk will you take in your classroom? And we will see you next time for part 2 of a culture of risk-taking for teachers and students.